Police say the recording device used was a camera phone just like this one, and they say it was that camera phone that led them to their suspect. The Hardin County coroner has identified that homicide victim as 22-year-old Wendell Jones. Police say he was shot to death inside of this apartment on Westport Road. All of the crosswalks and sidewalks here at this intersection are taped off and under construction. These flyers from the KKK were found all over town. These rocks used to hold them down. It's where correctional officers can watch the 150 to 200 cameras. From the entrance to the laundry room, no area is out of sight. Down here you can see debris and mud all over the place, and over here on the wall you can see just how high the water was. Based on all the snow that fell earlier, we've got about an inch or two on the ground at this point. The real issue, though, has been I-65. Investigators now say they have identified that suspect as this guy, 30-year-old Stephen Sorg. She noticed a green chair below the window, and the screen had been cut open. This is far from the first time that Eric Bennett has spent time here at Metro Corrections. These 23 pages outline his lengthy criminal history.
He was like my brother.
Tears streaming down his face. Trenton Kelly tells me he never imagined the day he'd have to say goodbye to his best friend, Tyler Russell.
He was just a good kid. Everybody loved him. He made everybody happy.
And Kelly says he certainly never thought he'd have to watch his friend die.
He started holding his chest and he was like, I think I got hit. I think of the paintball gun. I was like, don't say it, you're good. And then he just collapsed.
Simply walking near 20th and Market Wednesday night in West Louisville, Kelly says he didn't get a look at the person or persons who fired and hit Russell. He says his focus was getting the 15-year-old help. Russell died at University Hospital, and the coroner will not say how many times the teen was shot.
I wasn't there, but I wish I was.
Word of what happened spread fast.
I just broke down in tears. I couldn't even withstand myself. I was just upset that my friend was gone. I couldn't believe that.
A student at Louisville's The Academy at Shawnee. JCPS officials say grief counselors were at the school Thursday. A GoFundMe page quickly popped up as Russell's friends looked to raise money to bury the teen they describe as funny, charming, and giving.
We loved him to death. He was a brother to me, and he will never be forgotten.
As for Kelly, he says he just wants whoever did this to pay for the crime.
I just want him to be locked up, somebody to come forward.
Investigators say it happened to Dealyn O'Connor. Tonight we hear the story from the victim herself.
And every time I refuse to do what they tell me to do, I get stabbed.
Stab wounds to her forehead and body, just part of the trauma Dealyn O'Connor suffered.
I walk around looking out windows. I'm scared to be around anybody.
The last day in January, the 50-year-old says a friend invited her to a home in Radcliffe. When that friend disappeared, O'Connor tells me 5 strangers attacked her.
They just kept telling me to shut up. And every time I spoke, I'd get hit. I was hit with a bat. I was kicked. And then they stuffed a bandana in my mouth and taped me up, put a pillowcase over my head, walked me to my car, pushed me to my car.
Her face covered, the victim had no idea where she was headed.
I was pulled out of the car and I was pushed and I was told to jump.
Told to jump, police say, from the bridge over the Ohio connecting Brandenburg, Kentucky to Mockport, Indiana.
They kept telling me to jump. And I wasn't going to jump. I couldn't feel anything. And they started stabbing me.
Stabbed about 8 times, O'Connor says, and left for dead.
And I just saw the 2 cars driving away when I was walking down the road, trying to get anybody to help me. I remember that everybody just was swerving around me.
A man in a Jeep eventually stopped, and O'Connor was taken to University Hospital in Louisville. She spent nearly a week there with stab wounds and a collapsed lung. 5 people have been charged and now sit in jail.
I can forgive him. I'll never forget, and I don't think my trust will ever be what it was.
O'Connor says those 5 suspects took her cash and jewelry, emptied her bank accounts, and totaled her car. She tells me they left her with almost nothing. Josh Breslow, WDRB News.
Only on WDRB News tonight, Josh Breslow has the emotional reunion.
Lynette Young tells me she was hysterical last Saturday night when her 16-year-old son was pushed face first into a glass storefront during the chaos at Mall St. Matthews. She says since then she's made it her mission to find the Good Samaritan who helped her son after he was injured, and now that mission has been accomplished.
Hi, how are you? Come on in.
Face to face for the first time in nearly a week, Lynette Young and Deja Henderson.
Hi, how you doing? How you feeling?
Good, thank you so much.
You're welcome, sweetie.
The night of December 26th, Henderson was in Mall St. Matthews when she decided to stop at Zales to look at engagement rings.
Well, what are the odds of me being there? So I just feel like God put me there.
A screaming herd of people came her way, trampling Young, pushing her to the floor at Zales. Young's 16-year-old son Christopher was shoved face first into a glass storefront and was bleeding heavily from his mouth.
So my nurturing instincts was like, well, they didn't have anything to absorb any, the blood. So I just took off my jacket and gave it to him.
Henderson, a nursing student and nurse's aide, vanished without giving her name.
He was just like, Mom, you gotta find that lady. I said, how can I find her?
Friday, Henderson's family contacted WDRB, and the two, along with Christopher, met at a home in Louisville.
I want to get her a new jacket because I can't really give her back the jacket that I think it's a biohazard. You would say that.
Young says she's glad her boy wasn't more seriously hurt, and she's thankful she's now gained a new member of the family.
And I don't want this to be the last time we see you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
In St. Matthews, Josh Breslow, WDRB News. As far as Brian Starr was concerned, it was just another vacation to Disney World with his wife Taylor and their GoPro.
So, I hear you're a really big fan.
Pulled aside at the Star Wars show, the Louisville man seemed to be getting the surprise chance of a lifetime.
I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I saw Darth Vader, 2 stormtroopers, and she's like, well, get in there and get a photo. I was like, what is going on? This is so crazy.
But Taylor had hatched a plan.
I am going to sound like the most crazy person, but I found out I was pregnant last night, and I want to tell my husband, and I would love for the Star Wars cast to be a part of it.
So standing alongside his idol, Darth Vader,
I am your father.
possibly the worst father in the galaxy, Brian learned he too was about to be a dad. When he figured it out, Brian's reaction was priceless.
Congratulations.
I looked in the bag and I didn't see what it said. I didn't even know what was on it. I just knew it was small enough for a baby, and obviously not me.
Congrats, guys!
The couple posted the video to YouTube earlier this month so their announcement would correlate with the release of The Force Awakens. The video was shared all over and quickly reached hundreds of thousands of views.
So to see more views than 100 is just like amazing, but to see almost 1 million views is just, it's like, wow, I did it. But then I think about it, she did it.
Now, nearly 4 months along, Taylor tells me she's focused on a name. Maybe Luke, Leia, who knows? But the two have just one goal.
Better parents than Darth Vader.
In Louisville, Josh Breslow, WDRB News.